You must be asking yourself, Owen, why haven't you talked anything about Hollywood's event? Well, first off, number one, I'm an Orlando guy, and I'm trying to get into the speculation for the event I'm actually going to be able to attend. Two, there's been a lot of confusion involved in the Orlando event, and I've had to put a lot of my time and effort into that information. And three, to be totally honest, John Murdy is so awesomely cryptic right now in his code names, it's taken me until this long to be able to actually focus long enough to decrypt them, in my opinion, what they will be. So, tonight, we are going to discuss what I truly believe as of, on the East Coast, July 10th at 11:15 p.m., what the final lineup for Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood this year shall be. Now, there were some rumors that we were going to get an announcement tonight of some sort. There was even that Snapchat that was a very blurred image that looked very similar to have a blue moon in the middle of it. And that to be the announcement of An American Werewolf in London coming to Hollywood, like I predicted back in January. Now, the funny thing is, if you look at what I'm about to say, I predicted a lot of this back in January, actually. So yeah, kudos to myself. I don't know why I'm putting myself over, but you guys like to do that, so I'm going to let you hear what I have to say. Now, obviously, I'm not here to try to get myself over. I'm here to try to basically tell you what I believe to be the final lineup for the event. And earlier today, John Murdy basically said there was not going to be an announcement tonight. So no one needed to wait up or anything because the announcement has been postponed for the present time. And basically he revealed that on Twitter. Whenever the announcement is 100% confirmed to happen, he'll let us all know. So basically we're speculating on when the announcement is going to be made for the first maze in Hollywood. So there was a lot of rumors this was going to be the announcement of Werewolf and all the information, the slaughtered lamb facade in the Jurassic Park queue, and everything pretty much fit. Obviously, the boxes to go with the puppets for the wolves, and they're supposedly going to be like fake posters in one of the mazes this year. I'm guessing we're talking about the Tube, because obviously there were fake posters in the Tube in our maze last year. So, yeah, that's what everyone believed that Werewolf would be announced this week. On top of the fact that we have a full moon tomorrow. So, yes, we were all speculating that was going to be an announcement. And here in Orlando, we were going to get our announcement of Halloween to play on the fact that because of Diagon Alley and the grand opening bringing out so many people, they actually had to route people through the Halloween Horror Nights area and over by the Sprung Tents, and pretty much everyone got a nice little view of the startings of the Myers house facade for the house on this coast. So, there wasn't going to be an announcement, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to take this time and take a lot of time and a lot of effort to try to figure out the best of my abilities what Hollywood's lineup is going to be this year. And this is what I've come up with. So we're going to talk about this year as I'm going to go with all the cryptic, all the crazy code words, and I'm going to break them down. And now obviously the first one has already been announced. Atari 2600 actually was The Walking Dead end of the line. And this actually is interesting because 2600 was not what I thought The Walking Dead was going to be. I did go with the Waka Waka Waka, like anyone that watched these videos would know, but I tied that into Frank Oz and Fozzie Bear and American Werewolf in London, and not tying it into Waka 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 equaling out to Walker Walker Walker. So yeah, I should have went with that, and even Murdy himself said it wasn't the greatest clue, but no one guessed it, so that's all that matters, right? So of course we have a lot of other ones we need to talk about. We need to talk about the maze that is codenamed now Empire, which used to be called Malcolm. I said a lot of things about Malcolm, and in the final speculation video, at least the final at the time, back in April, I said Malcolm would be the Purge. The Purge will be coming to Hollywood this year, but it's going to continue to be a scare zone. And I think just like on this coast, it's going to be in New York. Now, I really can't say much about the scare zones because obviously I don't know much about how Hollywood works with scare zones. The only other one that I know of as of right now would be the literal Masquerade, which was the winner of the competition to determine what the fans wanted to see brought to the event, and that is going to be on French Street. The Walking Dead is going to take over the back lot, and everything else is up in the air. Apparently, Murdy said it was going to be about myths and traditions, so maybe not a trick-or-treat house or a maze, but maybe a scare zone, potentially. That's a possibility. Or maybe scare zones from mazes of the past. That's a possibility. We saw the pumpkins in the back lot in some of the videos. HHN Fan 16 obviously had a nice video there. And he was basically showing me a lot of pumpkins in the video. It plays up to the El Cucuy might end up being a scare zone this year instead of a maze like it was last year. And there's still rumors we could get El Cucuy in Orlando this year, but I'm starting to believe that may have to end up being another year. And no urban legend this year as of this moment. That may change though. But this is an Orlando video. I talk about that a lot, so I'm focusing on Hollywood this time around. So yeah, that's what we know as of right now to be the scare zones. Well, let's talk about what we've got for our maze lineup. Well, like I said before, Malcolm, which is now Empire, because things had to be changed. Empire plays into the Ottoman Empire and Vlad the Impaler. And this plays into a couple of things. Now, I'm going to break down the code words, like clue by clue, and I'm going to tell you what I believe connects everything together. So, stick around with me. We're going to have some fun. See, it's not based on a video game or a TV show, so it's a book or a movie. Makes perfect sense. This ties into an actual movie coming out later this year, and also, it's based upon a book that's already been released. It's got a 72-page treatment that makes sense. It's a well-known setting to horror fans, and that is not transsexual, but Transylvania itself. And a famous musician that John Murdy did a VIP tour with is a hint to the theme. Obviously, we're referring to the king of pop, the late great Michael Jackson, and the song in question is actually Immortal. What is immortal? What can be immortal? That's right. My opinion as of this very moment, Empire/Malcolm is Dracula Untold, which is also coming to Orlando as well. So, that's what I have right now. Malcolm or Empire, now it's Empire, it will equal out to Dracula Untold. Now, why was it Malcolm at one point? I think there was a chance there was going to be a different kind of Dracula maze that was not anything tied to the upcoming film that's coming out in October. I think they were actually tying it into another version of Dracula. That's the reason why Malcolm fit at the time. But, I will say right now that the only connection I found for Malcolm was Nathan Fillion, and that was Dracula 2000, so that was the only Dracula connection I could find. So yes, Dracula Untold is Empire. Teen Spirit, we've done a lot of work to try to figure out what the teen comedy in question that John Murdy watched either legally or illegally, depending on if he snuck in or not. And you know what? I was not able to figure it out. Now, a lot of people are jumping to Fast Times at Ridgemont High and going to Sean Penn and Santa Monica High School. Obviously, there's a lot of connections if you want to go in that direction. But, unfortunately, I was not able to connect via that. I was actually able to connect via something else. The tricky clue was what I actually connected it to. And the 75-page treatment has a movie title that has something to do with poker. Well, if you would utilize this trick in poker, I think you would probably find a lot of success because it is a sleight of hand trick that magicians have used throughout the years. It is something called card conjuring. So yes, as of this moment, I can say that I truly believe that Teen Spirit is The Conjuring. And with Annabelle coming out earlier, it got pushed up to October 3rd. it makes perfect sense that Annabelle would bring The Conjuring to the event. And I believe that The Conjuring was coming to both coasts, and the only way that I can see us getting in Orlando is if it is our code name for our living dollhouse, which is Charlie. But I can't really say yes or no towards that. I do think that if The Conjuring does succeed in Hollywood, which I know it will, I think that we will get it down the line. I don't think we get Insidious down the line until we get our next movie, so we can take from the first, the second, and the third films. The Conjuring house we have in Orlando would be a little bit different from the maze in Hollywood this year because we could play up The Conjuring 2, and Annabelle. So that's what I think will bring The Conjuring to Orlando, unless Conjuring is a cheeky way to get to our, what we thought was an original house in Charlie, or codename Charlie. So yes, I believe Teen Spirit is The Conjuring. Of course, Beauty is Only Skin Deep is the freak-out property, and a lot of people, including myself, have been speculating it was The Exorcist. And John Murdy said it best on Twitter that the rights just are not there to be had, unfortunately. And we're not looking at theatrical rights, we're looking at a different type of rights. So, the movie rights don't necessarily work in this situation. And it's taking a lot more to work it out. I do think The Exorcist does come in the next 2 years. I don't know exactly if it's going to be on both coasts or not. I would say probably so. If The Exorcist does come, I'd say it's a share. It's a guaranteed share. And it might end up being what John Murdy goes out on, his swan song at his Halloween Horror Nights career with Universal. And once he steps down, before he steps down, he's going to go out with a bang, and that's when we're going to see The Exorcist and Trick or Treat and everything he's always wanted to do. In that case, I think we'll get those as shares in Orlando. Beauty is Only Skin Deep. It's simple, it's easy, and it's been in front of us the whole time. Avon has a NASDAQ symbol, which is actually literally AVP. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. And it's going to be a share, something that we've known was coming to Orlando for quite a while, and that is Alien vs. Predator. And that's going to be what Beauty is Only Skin Deep really is in the long run. Makes perfect sense. So we get to soap commercial, which everyone has been speculating, and has been speculating since day one. I've speculated since day one. It is an American Werewolf in London, and I truly believe it is. But I'm going to go in a different route here. Now, obviously, part of the title of this maze is a brand of soap. That is something that threw everyone off, that made people start bringing up Dawn of the Dead, and From Dusk Till Dawn, which may or may not still end up in Orlando this year, if you hear speculation, which changes daily, by the way. Obviously, one of the main stars of this horror film used to act in television commercials before they made the film, and obviously I'm referring to David Naughton. And David Naughton was in the very familiar I'm a Pepper, Dr. Pepper campaign. And there was a cameo in this film that is in a movie that was out in theaters earlier this year. And it sounds crazy, but it's really true. And the cameo in question is actually Miss Piggy. Miss Piggy was seen on television in a dream sequence when one of David's younger siblings was watching The Muppet Show. So yeah, that's the connection. That's the connection completely. And yes, an American Werewolf in London is soap commercial. There's another thing. Our original maze, it's been really weird because there's no code name to it. And apparently it's got a connection to the song Route 66. Which is what we're hearing. And there are 3 characters that have been created for the maze. And one of them is from Of Mice and Men, which is a character called Lenny, who has some psychological issues, obviously. And there is another inspiration of this maze, a package for a food item that has always creeped me out in a movie prop we've already used at Halloween Horror Nights in the past. Obviously, something that would probably creep someone out would be something involving a clown. And a lot of people are knowing that Orlando is getting a steampunk clown factory this year, at least if you believe speculation and rumors. And it sounds to me like we're getting some sort of clown interaction involved with this particular maze, which apparently is also going to equal out to one thing and one thing only, and that is involvement from someone a famous rock star, not a former rock star, a famous rock star. And a lot of speculation. The first thing I heard about a rock star being involved with this, for some reason I jumped immediately to Dee Snider, and John Murdy himself completely debunked this. He's never met Dee Snider personally, and I don't know how that's possible, but apparently they just never crossed before. A lot of people were talking about Gene Simmons. Don't think that would work because Gene Simmons apparently is very hard to deal with from what a lot of people in Hollywood say. But I don't know because I've never met the guy. And a lot of people were talking about Brian Warner, yes, Marilyn Manson, and it was a possibility that Manson could potentially be used for the event, but a lot of people want it too, but I don't think it's going to work out this year. No, the person in question is actually going to be Slash, from Slash the Snake Pit and formerly from Guns N' Roses, and he's going to be doing a maze which is very original and is probably going to have a nice little soundtrack that provided by him and his band, and it's going to be themed towards clowns. I like to have called it Route 666, but I don't really know if you could do that or not. I wouldn't say that's the name of it. Obviously, I don't think that's the name, but I think that that's something we're looking at. Well, apparently there is a couple of rumors right now. Because of the guy deciding he wanted to throw a fit last year, Bill and Ted most likely won't be returning this year to Hollywood, which is a horrible shame. And for those in the know, it sounds like the Stage 54 that they usually use for Bill and Ted is going to probably be taken up by a property this year, but that was debunked. So it sounds like it's going to remain dormant, which is a shame. So it also sounds like that we're getting a 7th maze this year in Hollywood, and a lot of people have been speculating on what this possibly could be. And I've been saying since January that this was coming to the event, and I think I now can say without any complete certainty, completely just throwing this off the top of my head, that I believe, finally, I can say that it's coming to the event. One last time, which this will be the last speculation I do for Hollywood before we get our maze reveals. And I believe at this point that number one, it's going to be in the back lot, because it makes perfect sense. And two, it's going to be something that we had last year as well, that I know a lot of people in Hollywood were very upset that we got, and you guys didn't. So this year, 2013's wrongs, according to Hollywood, are going to be righted, because not only are you guys getting an American Werewolf in London from us from last year, you're also going to get the Cabin in the Woods. And it makes perfect sense, given the fact that last year you guys also did Evil Dead. And it makes perfect sense. Evil Dead, in all essence, is about a cabin in the woods. So, your facade, you probably can just use most of that stuff all over again. And that would be where you put everything. So yes, I believe your 7th maze isn't The Exorcist, it isn't Trick or Treat, it's actually going to be the Cabin in the Woods. And I have zero issues with this, but you guys have an awesome lineup this year, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. But where I think everything's going to go? Well, obviously, when it comes down to it, I don't really know much about Hollywood's event. I'm kind of speculating on things I've heard from other Horror Night Updaters, including the legitimate Horror Night Updaters, my friends there, but I'm going to take a stab at it. So obviously the Terror Tram is going to be invaded by the Walking Dead, and the Walking Dead are also getting a house, a maze, since it's Hollywood, and it's called End of the Line, which is going to be in the Metropolitan set area. The House of Horrors, I finally got to see a walkthrough of this, and there's really not much you can do with this. Apparently Universal Monsters Remix made perfect sense to put in there, and I would say if there wasn't for the fact that I already had something in mind, the only other thing I would say that comes to mind would be maybe we do like an EDM version of Monsters Remix with no dubstep. No dubstep. But yeah, utilize the classic Universal Monsters and obviously the newer Universal Monsters in the House of Horrors with a music background. Like apparently everybody said that UMR worked really well. Well, Murdy doesn't like the name, and a lot of the fans don't like dubstep, so I'm going to go with the fact that the only other option I could see is House of Horrors would get something that would be either rock music or like EDM, like electronic dance music. Not dubstep, EDM. Not the same thing exactly. But, as of this moment, I'm also going to say that the House of Horrors is probably going to be where Dracula Untold ends up. Probably not the right place, but it's where we needed to put it, I guess. Well, the Parisian Courtyard is supposed to have a nice, very much popping franchise in it. A very appealing IP is exactly what was mentioned, so I believe that the Parisian Courtyard will actually house The Conjuring. And the Mummy queue, I would definitely put the Cabin in the Woods there. From what I've seen, it looks like they've already started working on it. Like the switchbacks, in just looking at the construction videos that HHN Fan 16 put out. It made me believe that like the switchbacks they have already laid out would work really well with how the facility is completely out there. And I have no idea what kind of mazes, what kind of monsters you guys are going to get in your Cabin in the Woods. Probably a little bit different than ours. And I think, based upon the fact that we didn't get it, I think you guys will get your unicorn. Unlike we did, because we didn't get a unicorn. We got our merman when it worked, but we didn't get our unicorn. I think you guys get the unicorn. At least I hope you guys do, because it'd be something really cool. Jurassic Park, obviously everyone knows it is an American Werewolf in London. It's the slaughtered lamb. That's your facade. It's perfect. It fits like every single picture. And take it from me, who went through the house numerous times last year. Yes, your maze will definitely have that as your facade. That is the slaughtered lamb. There's nothing even close that comes to it. Stage 747 is going to be Alien vs. Predator. I don't know exactly for sure on this. I may flip and say that The Walking Dead might end up in 747. The problem with this is that I think that the WD walls that was seen on the construction video, I think it's a red herring. I think it's just some sort of a work to throw us off. I think that's going to be where Alien vs. Predator goes. And I do think that Slash's Clown Route 666, whatever you want to call it, his really freaky original maze with his awesome soundtrack in the background will probably be on the back lot somewhere. I don't know what we're looking at for your scare zones. Chucky's Insult Emporium may be returning, but I know it ticked off a lot of people. We might see a return of clowns, possibly. I know we've seen it many, many times in the past, but who knows. Maybe, just possibly, that Corpse and Ghouls, even though they lost, maybe they'll still show up at the event. And there's another option, obviously, that I'm completely glossing over, because I completely forgot about it until just now. Another thing that could go in the House of Horrors is if they want to utilize Face Off just like they did last year, because we're getting it this year. We're getting it as a scare zone. I would say that Face Off would have some sort of different versions of the classic Universal monsters in it, so it'd fit in the house really well. Because technically that's definitely a house, but yeah, the maze would work really well. So yeah, I gotta get used to the whole house and maze, taking it back and forth. So bear with me on this, so I apologize for that in the long run, because I just wanted to, I don't want to say the wrong things, because obviously I'm on the different coast than I'm comfortable with. So yeah, that's what we've got as of right now, and that's what I believe is actually going to be the case as of right now. So, real quick, I'll do my shoutouts in a minute, but I wanted to bring up a couple of things before we go. I do want to say that, real quick, a last rundown for anyone that normally doesn't watch these videos. I'm going to do real quick what I believe everything to be. So, as of this very moment, I believe your lineup for Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood this year will be The Walking Dead, End of the Line, Dracula Untold, The Conjuring, An American Werewolf in London, Slash's Route 666 Clown Maze, not the title of it, but something like that. Something involving clowns and like psychological creepiness. And Alien vs. Predator, as well as your 7th and final maze to end up being The Cabin in the Woods. So yeah, that's my speculation as of right now. If you agree with me, then let me know. If you disagree with me, also let me know. And if you like these videos, then go ahead and let me know. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about my speculation for this. Before I go, of course, I want to go throw out shout-outs to all my friends on the Horror Night Updaters. And I want to mention, obviously, Dr. Jimmy, who Dr. Jimmy is awesome, and he'll be hopefully doing something with Hollywood sooner rather than later. My good friend John Psycho Massacre Films, my good friend Vic, Dr. Emmett Brown 1, Admiral HHN, HHN Trogdor, HHN Fan I6, or 16, sorry, long day, and Horror Nights Updaters by themselves, my friend Neil UK HHN, Mr. Horror Nights, the Thrill Seeker Network, the Red Steel TV, Deadly Fear 1283, the Crazy Englishman, Jeremy Films with 2 Z's, HHN Phantom, and HHN Fanboy. So yes, shout out to all of you, and I enjoy all of your videos, and hopefully you guys and girls out there enjoy mine as well. So like I said, I'm not on the coast I feel comfortable with. I'm just giving you my speculation of what I believe is actually coming to the event. So there we go. So that being said, like I said, if you like these videos, then tell your friends about them, leave a comment, subscribe, help spread the word about Pop, like our Facebook fan page on Facebook, it's Sir Owen Disney Pop. Follow me on Twitter if you'd like, it's at Sir Owen Disney. If you'd like to send me a request on Facebook, it's Owen Disney. If you'd like to email me what you think is coming to the event, or leave a comment what's coming to the event, you want to talk Horror Nights with me, or just normal like Universal talk, or Disney talk, or wrestling talk, or movies, or you want to ask me specific questions, we can do that easily. Just email me, SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.